Most people think their biggest struggle is the morning, because that's when they wake up tired, hit snooze, and feel behind before the day even starts. But the real problem usually shows up hours earlier, late at night, when the body is exhausted, but the mind refuses to shut off. That familiar moment when work is technically over, but your thoughts keep racing. When you tell yourself you'll scroll for just a few minutes, and suddenly it's midnight. Was the pattern for a long time. Sleep felt shallow, mornings felt rushed, and no amount of motivation or discipline ever fixed it. Because the issue wasn't effort. The issue was that the day never truly ended. Everything began to change when the focus shifted away from trying to win the morning and toward learning how to shut the night down properly. Step 1. The shutdown ritual. The first problem most people don't realize they have is that they move straight from work mode into bed without ever transitioning out of it. So even when the laptop is closed, the nervous system stays switched on. The brain never receives a clear signal that the day is over, which is why lying in bed often feels restless instead of restful. This step exists to create a clear boundary between doing and resting, because without that boundary, real recovery can't happen. In practice, this looks simple, but intentional. Closing the laptop at a set time instead of whenever exhaustion hits, physically leaving the workspace even if it's just another room, dimming the lights to cue the body that the day is winding down, putting the phone away or out of reach, and changing clothes to mark the end of the day. This isn't about being strict or extreme. It's about creating a transition, and once this became consistent, nights stopped feeling rushed, the body understood the day was done, and falling asleep started to feel natural instead of forced. Step 2. The daily reset. The next problem is mental noise, because the brain hates unfinished business, and when the day isn't mentally closed, it follows you into bed, which is why anxiety often peaks right before sleep. This isn't overthinking, it's the mind trying to clean up loose ends. The purpose of this step is to give the brain closure, so it doesn't keep working while you're trying to rest. The routine here is short and intentional. Before bed, write down one thing that went well, one thing that didn't, and one thing that genuinely mattered that day. There's no fixing, no planning, and no judging involved, just acknowledgement. This step alone reduced mental noise more than anything else, because once thoughts had somewhere to land, the mind stopped replaying the day on repeat, and sleep stopped feeling like a negotiation. Once the day is properly shut down and the mind is calmer, something important happens. The future stops feeling heavy. Step 3. Feed the mind, not the noise. Most nights end with stimulation, endless content, endless scrolling, endless information that asks nothing of you and gives nothing back. The problem isn't screens alone, it's randomness. What you consume before sleep matters because the brain keeps processing it long after you close your eyes. When nights end in noise, mornings begin scattered. This step replaces stimulation with intention. Instead of social media or news, the night ends with something meaningful. A few pages of a book, a thoughtful idea, a sentence worth sitting with. This isn't about productivity or learning more. It's about identity. What you feed your mind before sleep quietly shapes how you show up the next day. When nights end with purpose, mornings start with clarity. This was one of the most subtle shifts, but also one of the most powerful. Sleep felt deeper, focus came faster, the mind felt steadier. Why this makes early rising easier? This is where the philosophy behind early rising finally clicks. Waking up early doesn't work when it's forced. It works when the body is restored. When nights are calm, the nervous system resets. Hormones stabilize. The body stops resisting the morning. Early rising stops feeling like discipline and starts feeling natural. Not because you're pushing harder, but because you're resting better. By this point, the mind is clear and the future feels lighter, but the body still needs to let go. Step 4. Relax the body and quiet the system. By the end of the day, most people are mentally exhausted but physically tense. Stress doesn't just live in thoughts. It settles into the shoulders, the jaw, the chest, the breath. That's why lying still in bed doesn't always lead to rest. The body is tired, but it hasn't been told it's safe to let go. This is where many nightly routines fall apart. People try to sleep their way out of tension instead of releasing it first. This step exists to shift the nervous system out of alert mode and into recovery mode. Without this transition, sleep stays shallow no matter how tired you feel, because the body is still bracing for the next demand. The actions here are intentionally simple. Slow the breath until it feels deeper and heavier. Stretch lightly, not to improve flexibility, but to release stored tension. Take a warm shower and let the heat signal safety. Lower the lights even more. Reduce stimulation until the environment itself feels quiet. There's no performance here, no goal to achieve, no metric to track. This step works because it speaks directly to the body, not the mind. And once the body stops resisting rest, the mind follows. After this became part of the night, sleep felt heavier in the best way. Mornings stopped feeling like recovery from the night before. The body wasn't fighting rest anymore. It was welcoming it. Step 5. Sleep with purpose. Most people don't go to sleep intentionally. They collapse into it. Sleep becomes something that happens to them, not something they choose. The day drains them, and sleep becomes escape instead of preparation. This final step reframes sleep as an active decision. Sleeping with purpose means treating rest as the final task of the day, not the absence of tasks. It starts with consistency, going to bed within the same window most nights, creating a room that signals rest instead of stimulation, putting the phone out of reach so the nervous system doesn't stay alert. But purpose isn't just physical, it's psychological. Before sleep, there's a quiet mental agreement. The day is complete. Tomorrow is planned. Nothing needs to be solved right now. That single shift changes how sleep feels. It stops being rushed. It stops being shallow. It becomes restorative. When sleep has purpose, waking up feels different. Not dramatic, not euphoric, just lighter, clearer, less resistant. This is the part most people miss when they talk about early mornings. Waking up early doesn't work when sleep is accidental. It works when rest is intentional. So, what changed first? The most noticeable change wasn't productivity, it was resistance. Mornings stopped feeling heavy. Getting out of bed required less negotiation. Focus arrived faster and stayed longer. Energy didn't spike and crash the way it used to. This wasn't about doing more. It was about wasting less. Less energy fighting the day, less mental drag, less friction between intention and action. This is what aligned nights quietly create. When rest is protected, momentum shows up on its own. There's no forcing, no hype, no pressure. The day begins with clarity instead of chaos. Why does this routine last? This routine works because it doesn't depend on motivation. It respects biology instead of fighting it. It reduces friction instead of demanding discipline. It works on tired days as well as good ones. None of the steps are extreme. None require perfection. They're small, repeatable signals that tell the brain and body what comes next. Over time, those signals build trust. Trust that rest is coming. Trust that tomorrow is handled. Trust that life isn't constantly slipping out of control. That trust is what makes the routine sustainable. The full nightly routine. So the routine looks like this. Step 1. The shutdown ritual, where work ends and the day is clearly closed. Step 2. The daily reset, where the mind reviews the day and releases it. Step 3. Plan tomorrow, where uncertainty is removed and priorities are set. Step 4. Learn and grow, where noise is replaced with meaning. Step 5. Relax the body and quiet the system, where tension is released. Step 6. Sleep with purpose, where rest becomes intentional preparation. Each step is simple. Together they change everything. Transformation doesn't begin when the alarm goes off. It begins when the day is allowed to end properly. Nights aren't the opposite of productivity. They're the foundation of it. And when you learn how to close the night with intention, mornings stop demanding discipline and start offering clarity. That's when progress feels natural. That's when life begins to move forward with less resistance. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for the latest videos.